Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are going to take a look at the Stamina Templar PvE build for Dragonbones DLC. This is a dungeon and trial build. I do have a written guide on my website, the link in the description below. As you can see, we have pretty nice stats, a lot of weapon damage, weapon crit and stamina. I do recommend having around 17k health. We are running the Warrior Mundus Stone. In terms of buff food, make sure to run max health, max stem, and potions run weapon power pots. They give you weapon damage, weapon crit, and restore stamina. You don't necessarily need the weapon crit because we use biting jabs, but it's just those are usually the standard pots that I find in the guild stores. That's why I mostly run those. In terms of race, I recommend being a red guard because of this passive here. However, if you want to be a Khajiit, Imperial or an orc also works, but this will just give you a lot better sustain. It doesn't sound like a lot, but if you look at that passive over 5 minutes fight, then it's a lot of stamina that other races don't have. Top of that, you also get 10% max stem. And it's just overall the best race. The red guard is the best race in terms of DPS output. By a very small margin though. Just keep that in mind. Please make sure to not forget to subscribe. I will publish more videos in the future. Now before we start to talk about the sets, on my website you will find a lot of viable stamina sets listed. I will just showcase you one option here. Now this here simulates if you would be the only stamina setup in your group. That's why we use Two-Fanged Snake. I also do have a stamina optimization article on my website. If you're 2 or 3 stamina players or even 4, there is better sets than Two-Fanged Snake. Keep that in mind. But if you're alone, then this will be very strong. First set, Hunting's Rage. Now this gives us 300 weapon damage, a lot of crit and extra stamina. This is pretty much the basic set that you can run. You could also run War Machine. You could also run Mechanical Acuity, but I actually do like Hunting's Rage more than most of the other sets. The only front bar this set: Dagger, Nirnhorn trade with Poison enchant, and then another Dagger infused trade with weapon damage enchant. Other than that, here make sure to have all divine pieces or with stamina enchants. Now the Two-Fanged Snake, it gives you a lot of penetration, and penetration is more or less the most important thing that you want to increase for like more damage. That's why this set is so strong. All weapon damage glyphs on the jewelry. If you only have blue jewelry, it doesn't really matter that much. I do recommend getting purple ones, but blue is also fine, just in case. You could also run Spriggan. It's a lot easier to get in case you don't have Two-Fanged. It's also on my website. Velidref, very strong stamina set. You could also run Stormfist if you want to. I just prefer this a little bit more. It seems to deal slightly more damage, plus we get more weapon damage, which synergizes well with the 300 weapon damage from Hunting's Rage. On the back bar, you want to have a Maelstrom bow. This is the strongest bow in the game, so I really recommend getting it. In case you don't have it, you also could run a Master's Bow that drops in Dragonstar Arena. Make sure to run damage, health, poisons on the back bar. This will give you about 2k DPS, extra DPS, so it's very important. If you don't know how to craft those, I do have the ingredients listed on my website. And again, there is a lot of good combinations. This is just one possibility. Keep that in mind. Champion points, pretty standard setup: 56, 22, 61, 61 and 40. 40, 40. Here we actually, 75 is enough because of the jump point. 49 here. Then 36 Warlord. 49, 49, 48, 13 and 81. You want to have a lot of points in Ironclad because most damage in dungeons and trials is direct damage, so this will help a lot with mitigating a lot of incoming damage. In terms of passives, make sure you have all class passives, even if you don't need some of them, like the healing passives, but just get them all if possible. Dual wield bow passives, then medium armor and Juggernaut, because this gives us 2% max health. Oh yeah, I forgot to talk about that. Now, here I run 6 medium and 1 heavy. If possible, make sure to have the heavy chest if you use a crafted set, because it gives you more resistances. But usually, because I'm too lazy, I just run like a heavy either on the head or shoulder because of the monster set, and that's it. A little bit more flexible, but if you can also craft the heavy hunting's chest. And then just run 2 medium pieces here. Now why do you want 6 medium and 1 heavy? Because of the Undaunted passives. Gives you 4% more max resources. You could also run 5 medium, 1 heavy, 1 light, then you will get 6% increased resources. I do like 6 medium though, because first off you get a little bit more crit from dexterity and more cost reduction, like 2% more. It's just, I prefer it. You could also run 7 medium if you want to, it's really up to you, but I do think 6 medium, 1 heavy is the best thing to go with. Said that, make sure you have the Fighter's Guild passives, Undaunted, racial passives, and then medicinal use. With this you basically can keep up your potions 100%, so this is very important. I also do have the list of all passives that you need on my website. Talk about a few good stamina passives. Piercing Spear, increase your damage, critical damage done, and your damage against blocking targets by 10%, while you have an Adric Spear ability slotted. Now, I usually only run one on the front bar, Biting Chaps. On the back bar, it depends. You could technically run, for example, either Blazing or Luminous here, if you don't want to heal, but I usually recommend slotting Vigor. You could also replace it with you could replace Repentance, but it's also just nice for extra sustain. If you have a really good healer, do it like this, otherwise keep Vigor here. But it's just nice to have the extra 10% critical damage, just keep that in mind. Burning Light, one of the strongest passives in the game in terms of damage. You have a 25% chance to deal 5k physical damage. And it has a 0.5 second cooldown. This only procs from Biting Chaps though. Keep that in mind. It's only from Adric Spear abilities. Very important. Then Balanced Warrior, we also get 6% extra weapon damage and a little bit more spell resistance. Most damage in trials is also spell damage, so that's nice to have. Other than that, we get a little bit cost reduction for ultimates and skills, which is cool. And ultimate regeneration a little bit more, but that's more or less it. Here, it's mostly for healing CP, so you don't necessarily need those passives here. In terms of abilities, I do have the rotation on my website. I will also put a rock cut gameplay video into the description, so you actually can see the build live in action. I do have Rearming Trap here on the front bar. First off, it gives us 3% more max weapon damage because of this passive. Slayer increases your weapon damage by 3% for each fighter skilled ability slotted. We have 3% here, and another 3% from Flawless Dawnbreaker, and another 5% from the ultimate itself. So that's why this is really nice. and that's why we have so much weapon damage on a Stamina Templar. Also, like I said before, we get another 6% here, so it's just really nice. It deals a lot of damage, and on top of that you also gain minor force, increasing your critical damage done by 10%. Power of the Light, very strong ability. Usually in a raid environment you want to have one Stamina Templar. First off, the Power of the Light deals a lot of damage, and then targets are also inflicted with minor fracture and minor breach, reducing their physical and spell resistance by 1.3k. It's more or less the only source where you can get this from. There's a few others, but it's the most effective, so that's why we usually run a Stamina Templar in our raid, just to get a little bit extra damage. Especially if you have 8 damage dealers, 1.3k resistance debuff on the enemy is a lot. With the rotation on my website or on the video from the rock cut, you should get about the 80% uptime from this debuff. Rending Slash is a very nice damage over time effect. Biting Jabs, channeled ability. It gives you Major Savagery, so weapon crit, so you don't necessarily need this from the potions, but whatever. It only holds for 8 seconds, and our rotation is kind of 10 seconds, so it might be possible that it drops, so that's why just run those pots here. Deals a lot of damage, also procs Burning Light. Deadly Cloak, now this does decent damage, but it also offers a lot of damage mitigation, 25% AoE damage mitigation. That's why stem setups are so hard to kill in dungeons and trials, because of this. In case you're fighting trash, you actually can run Steel Tornado instead of Rending Slashes, or just spam Biting Jabs like crazy, but Steel Tornado will do more damage. Flawless Dawnbreaker. We don't necessarily use this ability. You can use it on trash, but don't use it on single target. Backbar Endless Hail, your strongest AoE and single target damage over time effect with the Maelstrom Bow. Repentance, you can use this to drain stamina from enemies, very nice, especially on trash. Poison Injection, damage over time effect, also very strong. Razor Cult drops, same thing, costs a lot, so in case you have sustained issues, I recommend not casting this for maybe 1 or 2 rotations, but it also deals a lot of damage. Then, like I said, either Vigor or Blazing Spear here. You don't necessarily need to use this in the fight, but like we previously explained, it gives us a little bit more damage. Bow Ultimate Ballista, you want to use this for single target, deals the most damage. You could also run the Nova for trash fights. It's magic damage, but it doesn't really matter that much. It will deal more damage than Dawnbreaker, and if a Magicka user actually uses the synergy, it's just crazy how much damage the Gravity Crush synergy gives. Like, if there's enough mobs, you can get, like, I don't know, it's just completely insane how much damage you can pull off with this. So if you're not too lazy to swap out ultimates, use this on trash fight. On top of that, it also gives damage mitigation. When you actually watch previous runs from us in Morv Lorecast, you will always see Nova in most fights actually on trash. That's more or less it about this class. If you do have any questions, ask me in the comment section below. Make sure to not forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching and have a nice day. Cheers.